Okay, so we're going to call this meeting to order. It is February 18th at 6:10 p.m. This is the Public Health and Safety meeting. So start with roll call. Present, we have Alderman Fahrenwald, Klinker, Hill, and Carr. Absent are Alderman Cazares, Slattery, and Johnson. We also have Fire Chief Dan Rita, Police Chief Bernie Arzab, and Sergeant Sepasi, along with Mr. Alan Stevo and Kibley Byrne. I knew that, so thank you in the audience. All right, we're done with that. I emailed you guys the minutes. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at it. You can make someone make a motion to approve them. Motion by Bill. Second by Ken. Johnny.
Third.
Okay. Third. Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, citizens' concerns. Anybody? Either one of you guys?
Good evening, Chairman Klinker, members of the committee. I'm going to bring up something again that you wish it would go away, and many residents wish it would never have happened, and that is the incidents with Robbie Silva and the obstruction of justice in the police department. And I want your committee to take a serious approach at this. Put it on your agenda for every month until it's resolved. Robbie Silva needs justice. The people of Blue Island want justice in this matter. What happened in the Blue Island Police Department should never have happened anywhere in any police department in this great United States of America. And I'd like to know what the committee is doing about this. I expect Alderman Carr to spearhead this, to bring justice, to prosecute those who violated our trust. Where is the rule of law? Alderman Carr, this happened under your watch. You let it happen. You permitted this to happen. We want results. We want people prosecuted, and that's why we're here. And we're to continue to come up here each and every month if need be. And I'm asking for this to be put on the agenda as an item, and I want you to have regular meetings with the chief of police, and we'd like to know what she's going to do about this. And we need to bring our law department in, and we want justice. We want those who are responsible for this over $2 million in wasted assets that we have prosecuted. And we want nothing less. And that's what we're asking you for tonight, Alderman.
Okay, I have it noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Byrne, do you have anything? No? Okay. Fire Department business. Chief, you're up.
Good evening, Chair, Committee. You have the report in front of you. So this is the Fire Department report for January 2020. Calls, you see the emergency call response that we had for the month, 291 EMS responses, 97 fire responses, 14 of those which were auto aid broken down respectively, and 2 mutual aid responses. The medical reimbursement services collected, which is our ambulance billing for the month of January, totaled $23,436.19. The report is the second page in the packet, and that's our year-to-date is the same total. Fire recovery collected for the month of December. I'm sorry, it should have been January. $2,526.20. Same total for our year-to-date. And then false alarm fees collected for January was $300. Again, the year-to-date would be $300. Calls of interest, as you can see, fairly busy start to the year. Most of it out of town. A bunch of fires in Riverdale. We did have a small fire, 12736 Division on a Saturday morning. Candle was left unattended, and it thankfully didn't break out, and it was held to really just the room of origin. Same thing for the one on Sealy. That was, I believe, a Monday morning, early, about 6 o'clock. That could have been worse. The gentleman was staining his floors, it appears, and left the rags in a pile, and you know what happens when that goes on, Chief. So that's what it is. Those two could have been worse, certainly, but they were not. And then we assisted the police on January 23rd with an incident in regards to the incident at 119th and Western. So that was it for the month of January as far as calls. If you turn the page, again, general information, continue to prepare for the 2020 appropriations/budget, which I believe that went to that went out last week, I believe, too. I don't know if the finance committee got it yet.
It hasn't made it to finance yet.
Okay.
But the treasurer said last night it's real close.
Okay. So that went out. We've been preparing for that. Maintenance, we continue. Truck 2114 still out of service. The ladder is being worked on, as has been reported. And engine 2103, which is the 1994 Sutphen, which I've talked about before, which is in need of replacement. Also, it was coming back from the shops and experienced some transmission issues. So I don't know. I don't have the specifics to date as to what is wrong, but it is transmission related. Hopefully it's nothing too extraordinary, but the engine obviously is quite old. So that is out of service. We have 2 frontline engines in service, and that's all we have at the time being, for the time being. The 2010 Ford Explorer is in the shop currently. We're waiting for, we're going to get the parts off of an Explorer that the police have discarded and are sitting in the boneyard of Public Works, so that should be done shortly and up and running. Fire prevention is reported monthly. Flow MSP work and pre-plans continue. And Lieutenant Zielinski's completed several inspections throughout the month of January. Training, you also have that. That should be the 3rd item in the packet. Training hours for the month of January totaled 756 hours. You can see the attached, it's broken down by individual and the topics that were covered. We continue to do ongoing driver's training with our probationary firefighters, 2 more of which came off today. They've completed their 1 year of probation. We did just find out last week that we're also losing Sean Sarge, who's accepted a job with Schaumburg, so we'll be calling for...
He's the one that just started.
He's the one that just started,
Yeah.
so...
That's the way it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll be losing him. And then as part of the training as well, in January they completed the NFPA 1500 bloodborne pathogen and sexual harassment training for the entire department. Operationally, the 2020 box cards from ABIS 22 were worked on throughout most of January and approved last week, so those are in effect. And under EMS, we're still exploring our ALS options as we go into the budget year, which obviously you guys will see. So with that, the last 2 items in your packet are the overtime hours for January 2020, broken down as they are for each week, and then the 7G rate for 2020, January 2020. So any questions regarding any of that?
Questions, anyone?
No.
No? Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Police chief business is up next, so chief, if you want to step on up.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everybody. I wish I could be that brief as the fire chief, but unfortunately I won't be. So I gave you guys 2 packets. We're going to go through the one for December of 2019, seeing as I missed the last meeting because of the death investigation that was going on that late afternoon. A lot of these items I'm going to skip, only because they're going to be topics in the January, and it's going to be an updated information for you. So number 1, administrative updates, we're going to skip that. Number 2, for monthly reporting, the clerical totals, we had $51,565.71 collected from the revenue streams. Number 3, calls for service, 2,459 incidents were recorded for December. 1,113 were calls for service, and 913 were self-initiated by officers. Number 4, firearms. There were 5 firearms recovered in December. No EVZIO deployments in December. Pages 2 and 3 is all of the training that individual officers had for the month of December. Page 4, you see the overtime total for $18,012.20. And number 8, department projects. We're going to skip A, go to B. The Axon Tasers training has been completed, and the new devices have been distributed for use by certified department members. We're going to skip C, go to page 5. We're going to skip D. E, with the police fleet, as far as the squad vehicles, further research with Ford on a vehicle replacement plan revealed that Ford finances loans with self-insured municipalities as us, and that they require a form to be filled out attesting to such. Interest rates have also fallen in the past month from 5.9 to 4.9. An added benefit to purchasing vehicles in this fashion would be the ability to evenly budget for vehicles over the next 4 years and lock in today's rates for the vehicles and equipment. Letter I, since the last Public Health and Safety meeting, I also mentioned this at the last City Council, we had 2 patrol vehicles that were decommissioned. One was a 13 Ford Taurus due to a crash, and the other was the 2011 Crown Victoria that had repairs which were not, the value of the vehicle wouldn't make any sense to make those repairs. So those 2 vehicles were decommissioned. Item F, the covert detective fleet is also aging and out of warranty. I will be seeking to replace these vehicles using asset forfeiture funds outside of purchasing agreement currently being used for purchases of patrol vehicles with appropriated funds. Letter I, since the last Public Health and Safety meeting, one of the covert vehicles has been removed from the fleet due to necessary repairs that are near the trade-in value of the vehicle. Again, it's not worth making those repairs because it's not worth that much. So we did have to decommission that one. We're going to skip G and H. Page 6, you have the fleet, and it's going to be different on the Januaries, and then your investigation case assignments on the bottom of page 6. Page 7, and page 7 is the cases of interest. On December 1st, there was an armed robbery in the 12200 block of Washington. 57-year-old victim and a male victim and a 23-year-old female suspect were involved in a platonic relationship, of the victim providing financial assistance to the suspect in exchange for companionship. During the course of the investigation, there was subsequent evidence to proceed with a prosecution, but the victim declined to prosecute. On December 3rd, there's an aggravated vehicular hijacking in the 2600 block of Vermont Street. While the victim was sitting in her car, 3 male subjects approached her car, announced a robbery. All 3 of them were apprehended by the patrol division. One was charged accordingly, and the other 2 suspects were determined to have significant cognitive disabilities, so they were not charged and sent back home to their parents. December 6th, there was a vehicle versus pedestrian fatal crash at 127 in California, and we are still waiting for the Suburban Major Accident Reconstruction Team report with that investigation. On December 9th, there was an armed robbery in the 12000 block of Artesian. Mail carrier was approached by an offender inferring a weapon with the help of the patrol division and a witness who luckily stood by and provided very important information. We were able to apprehend the subject, and he was charged accordingly. On December 12th, there was a kidnapping in the 2900 block of 140th Street. This is domestic related. 2 children were taken from the father, and through the course of the investigation, there were family members that finally revealed where the children were at in a different state, and they finally brought the children back to the police station, and they were given back to the mother. We are still investigating, and we have the FBI involved as well, because it went beyond state lines, looking to charge the father and the family members that were involved in this. Community events. On December 7th, we assisted the Blue Island Light Parade. December 10th, Sergeant Sepisi met with Alderman Fahrenwald, Director Pulsel, and Eric Alvarez in reference to the speed calming across Blue Island. December 16th, we assisted the filming of the TV show Fargo. December 19th, I attended the graduation for Probationary Officer Holloway in Springfield. December 20th and 21st, we dispersed gifts for families in need that were collected by the department through the FOP Lodge 180 and local businesses. And December 31st, We assisted with the Rock Around the Clock at Vermont and Western. Under miscellaneous, on the bottom of page 8, the Northeast Multi-Regional Training, who provides state-certified law enforcement training for our area, advised member agencies that Public Act 100-0987 gave judges the discretion to reduce court fines to a minimum of $25 or waive them altogether. Court fines are deposited to the Traffic Criminal Surcharge Conviction Fund, which is the sole source of revenue available to fund the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board. The ILETS funds 35% of NEMRT's operational budget. Last fiscal year, there was a $3.2 million less. There were $3.2 million less deposited into the fund, and so far during the first half of this fiscal year, there is a $1.2 million shortfall. This will have an impact on the department's training going forward, as class fees are due to increase and reimbursements for basic law enforcement academy training will likely be suspended. And I also attached a copy of the correspondence to this packet. On the last page, page 9, I also attached a letter from Red Speed of Illinois. In regards to news reports of unethical practices by other vendors in the area, Red Speed Illinois wishes to ensure the public and city that their top priority has always been to make roads and intersections safer, and the data from our sites showcase their success. And that attachment is in this packet as well. Also, there's an attachment at the end of that from the Illinois Comptroller's Office regarding that, in reference to collection of red light fines. The Illinois Office of Comptroller will discontinue the collection of red light camera ticket fines on behalf of Illinois municipalities effective February 6th of this year. So then if you go to the next page, which is attachment A for the clerical totals, this is the year-end total revenue collected for 2019 from the police department, which is $878,550.49. You will also notice on the bottom for the months of April and May, where there's a significant increase in the amounts that we collect. That is going to be affected by what the Illinois Comptroller just told us, because they are no longer helping us get those fines paid through Illinois Lottery and tax refunds. So we may see a big decrease in that because of them not cooperating anymore. And then B is the totals for sworn police, and C is the monthly totals, and D is the incident count for December of 2019. And then all of the attachments that I indicated to you. Any questions on that one before I go into January? No. Okay. So going into the January report for administrative updates, the Blue Island Police Pension Fund held a special meeting to hear evidence and deliberate the duty disability benefit application submitted by Officer John Chicarillo, who sustained an on-duty injury on May 30th of 2018. The Blue Island Police Pension Fund determined that Officer John Chicarillo would be awarded a duty disability benefit. The Blue Island Police Department would like to thank Officer John Chicarillo for his years of dedication to the department, his co-workers, and the citizens of the city of Blue Island. We will be looking to hire to replace his position. We have one confirmed spot reserved in the academy for May of this year. So we'll be looking to replace that. Probationary patrol officers Doolin and Fregoso successfully completed stage 3 of their field training program and have an expected completion date of March of this year. Probationary officer Holloway has successfully completed stage 2 of his field training program and is expected to complete the program in April of this year. I attended a Chiefs of Police seminar in regards to the adult use recreational cannabis law updates on January 7th of this year, presented by the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police and the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. I attended the South Suburban Major Accident Reconstruction Team meeting on January 8th, where I am currently the secretary on the executive board for the team. I also attended the Chiefs meeting for the South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force on January 14th of this year. Number 2, for the monthly reporting, the clerical personnel totals $52,329.33 were collected through revenue streams in January of this year. Page 2, calls for service, 1,978 incidents were recorded for January. 968 of them were calls for service. 980 of them were self-initiated by officers. There were 10 firearms recovered in January and no FZO deployments. And there's a list of the department training for January. Also on the bottom, the department members have been assigned online reporting of child abuse and neglect through the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board online learning network. All courses offered online through ILETS are free of charge. Department members have been assigned mandatory standardized field sobriety refresher training. This training is required for the NHTSA every 4 years and for agencies participating in the Sustained Traffic Enforcement Program grant, which we are participating in this year. AED and CPR refresher training is being scheduled for March with the fire department for all of our police members. Page 3, another update with the House Bill 4594 in reference to training for police personnel. The last paragraph, it was an update that I had gotten this afternoon, that the Senate Bill 3739 has been introduced, seeking $5 million of emergency funding to fund ILETS, and NEMRT will continuously advise us of the status of the bill. And there is a crisis letter that you guys can read that is attached to this packet. Page 4 is the overtime for January, $17,916.45. For department projects, Lexipol policy manual has been fully issued and in effect as of January 1st of this year. The procedures manual is still being developed between us and Lexipol. The system that controls the key fobs within the building will have to be updated due to ransomware, and quotes are pending from Videotech. Page 5, the records management system replacement from Capers to Clarity is still pending beta testing with Cook County Sheriff's Police. And then an update with the police squad fleet. For letter D, the department took possession of a 2020 Ford Police Interceptor utility and a 2019 Police Interceptor sedan. Both are in the process of being built through our vendor. Research for long-term capital improvements, vehicle replacement plan is ongoing. E, we already went through. F, I know we touched on this Project Green a couple of meetings ago, but also the last sentence on item F is an addition. Project Green also evaluated the air conditioning system and provided a grant incentive replacement price of $65,000 for our air conditioning. And there is the quote that's in this packet. G, miscellaneous electrical repairs to the exterior boxes and conduit, along with outlets and wiring repairs to the garage will have to be completed this year where our police vehicles are housed. Sergeant Sepisi met with Director Elmer Garza in reference to the Illinois statewide auto theft task force led by the Illinois Secretary of State Police. They are soliciting our department to provide an officer with full benefits reimbursed to operate as a task force agent. There is, in the packet, there's probably like 7 or 8 pages that completely explains that program that is being spearheaded by the Secretary of State. And it's almost similar to, you know, an officer being assigned to like a DEA task force. But one of the great things about this one is that it's full reimbursement. Salary, insurance, a vehicle, overtime, all the equipment that they need, all the training that they need. How long has this theft task force been?
It's a couple years in now.
Couple
It's
years.
fully funded by the Secretary of State Police through their budget, so it can't be rescinded through
Right.
anybody else.
Right.
And they're looking for, probably it'd be about another 7 years for this person to be dedicated to the task force.
Right. So we would be looking to actually add another person to our staffing, to, if we're interested in being a part of this task force. We're looking to, I think we're at 37 full-time SWORD. We would want to be up to 38. Yes.
So would that officer, it's for this auto theft task force, would that be the officer's sole responsibility?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, he would be assigned to that, just like the DEA task force. He is assigned to that. That's his sole assignment.
He'd
Yes.
spend his whole time going around town telling people not to leave their cars running.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Good place to start.
Well, and you know, and we actually brought that up to them when they came to us, interested in having our department be a part of this task force. And we'd ask them, you know, obviously they would be dealing with, you know, the higher end of stealing cars and retagging them and things like that. But we did bring up the problem that we've had, not only in our city, but in the surrounding cities, of all of these vehicles getting stolen at gas stations, people leaving their vehicles left running and things like that. And yes, they would send out groups of task force guys out there, surveillance, you know, working on those
Because that is a
types of things.
violation, right? If the car is running with the keys in the ignition?
Yes, it is a
okay.
violation of the vehicle owner to
Yeah.
leave it unattended, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. All right, item I, the department is in the process of disposing of various firearms being held in the property evidence custody at the station. We will be utilizing the free services of a company called Gunbusters to dispose of these items, to dispose of these firearms. Page 6, you can see an updated patrol fleet on the top, and the case assignments for the investigations division on the bottom. The cases of interest on page 7. On January 21st of this year, there was a homicide at the Shell gas station, 119 in Western. Blue Island officers responded to the location for a gunshot victim. Upon arrival, officers located the victim lying in the lot of the gas station, unresponsive. EMTs arrived and performed CPR and transported the victim to Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn, where he was pronounced dead. The subsequent investigation conducted by Blue Island detectives with the assistance from the South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force resulted in the collection of physical evidence and video surveillance, which assisted in identifying the offender. The suspect was positively identified and a search warrant was executed at the suspect's Blue Island residence. 2 firearms were recovered from the residence, one being suspected as the weapon used in the homicide. An arrest warrant has been issued for the suspect, who remains at large. The FBI Fugitive Task Force is assisting in the search for the suspect. And just also a note, I know I had mentioned it in my most recent press release that I put out. This incident was an isolated incident. It was not a robbery gone bad. It had nothing to do with the gas station itself. It was a situation between 2 people. Also, community events, January 21st. We assisted security for the filming of Chicago PD, and the 22nd, security for the filming of Fargo. And then A, B, C, and D are the usual attachments for the month of January, and then the 2 attachments after that, I snuck those in real quick. Those are going to be the totals for 2019. For the department ratings and the calls for service, and then the totals for the incident count for all of 2019. And then the attachments of everything that I discussed. And then towards the back, I'm done with that before we go into the two motions. Any questions about the monthly report before I go into the two motions? Okay, so a little bit further back in that packet are the motions. One is for the handheld portable radios. I'm requesting board action, a motion to enter into an agreement with the Cook County Emergency Telephone System Board for the use for public safety purposes of 15 handheld portable radios. Now, this is going to be a similar agreement that we had last year with the laptop computers that they provided for us in each of our squad cars at no cost to us. The police department currently utilizes Motorola XTS 5000 portable radios as a primary communication device between officers and dispatch. The radio has reached the end of its shelf life and is no longer serviceable when repairs are required. Furthermore, Cook County will be changing the frequency that it operates on in the near future as technology evolves, which the current radios will not support. The police department and Cook County have met to determine the best course of action moving forward. As a result of ongoing meetings, Cook County has secured 15 radios through a grant for the use of by the police department. Looking options and recommendations, entered into an agreement with Cook County for the use of 15 portable radios and accessories. Financial impact does not apply. And I also attached the agreement for you guys to take a look at, and also the city attorney is also looking at it as well.
Anybody have questions on that one?
Looks
No.
good.
So can we get a motion to send this to the full council pending the attorney's approval?
Has this been through finance?
No, it'll go, it would go to them next.
Okay, we'll send it to finance, sorry.
Yep.
So I'll make the motion by Alderman Fahrenwald, send it to finance, second by
Second.
Carr. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that one's going to finance.
Thank you.
All right.
And then the last one is for a motion for propertyroom.com. Motion to enter an agreement with propertyroom.com for property and evidence auction services. The department does not currently have a vendor to manage and conduct the auction of abandoned, unclaimed property held in the custody of the Blue Island Police Department. Propertyroom.com arranges for surplus, abandoned, and unclaimed property to be picked up from the department, evaluated, and auctioned online. The department would receive a portion of the proceeds for sold items, and the remaining items would be disposed of. Auctioning this property maintained at the department would increase the amount of storage available in the evidence room and decrease the amount of time that staff is spending on auditing the items in custody. Propertyroom.com works with over 3,000 departments nationwide to auction unclaimed surplus property, including the Chicago Police Department. Utilizing propertyroom.com would lower the amount of hours spent by our staff cataloging and arranging auctions for surplus property. Financial impact does not apply. It basically pays for itself, and we may be able to get portions of the proceeds from the items that are sold.
I have a question.
And the agreement is attached, and I also sent it to the city attorney.
I have a question. How long do we hold on to property?
I believe it's going to be 6 months.
By statute, it can't be auctioned until it's at the 6-month mark.
Okay.
And we'll make sure that we go through the proper channels and the proper notifications before we release it to propertyroom.com to be auctioned.
Any questions? Okay, so we get a motion to send this one to finance also. Motion by Alderman Hill.
I don't know. I don't know if we
Neither
need
one
to
of them
send
cost
it.
money, so I don't know. The last one was not,
There's no money.
that's why I was.
And this would go to finance. The next step will go to finance for this one as
For
well.
this one as well, it's working.
Yeah.
We'll
It's
just
not
set
gonna
it.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, motion by Alderman Hill, second by Fahrenwald. Any questions? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Those two will go, I'll get those two, I'll let Alderman Donahue know if you just want to forward him this
Yes.
information to expect it, because I think their next meeting's March 2nd, if I remember.
Okay.
Our next meeting.
Okay, yep.
All right.
And then also under new business, I know I had spoken to Alderman Klinker before the meeting started. Just wanted me to touch base real quick about fireworks for this year. Obviously, we have a little bit better staffing this year to help us, so we will attempt to staff it a little bit more appropriately this year since we have a little bit more staffing. But again, you know, fireworks, those are one of those situations where it's unknown. You know, if we're going to have, you know, a lot of calls, minimal calls, you know, it's one of those things, but obviously we're in a little bit better position to be able to staff it a little bit better this year than last year. Also, what we're going to do too is we're going to put some awareness out on the website and our Facebook page as far as explaining the laws, the ordinances, the dangers, you know, what the fines are and things like that. We'll make people aware of that in advance so they know what they're getting into if they're going to violate these ordinances and laws. And then we're also going to, once again, review the fee schedule with the city clerk to make sure that they're all up to date on the fee schedules.
Maybe along, you said website, Facebook, maybe we can do something on
Yeah,
EITV
absolutely.
also, you know, just kind of closer that we get to it.
Yep.
This, like I told you before, this was something the mayor brought up. He brought up last year, right after the 4th of July.
Sure.
So he started it, he wanted us to get the ball rolling, so.
Right.
I think everyone's concerned about it. I mean, I know my neighborhood's usually crazy, so,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
good.
All right.
That's a great start. You had gun busters on here, do you want to discuss
Oh,
that?
yeah, you know, it was mentioned in
Yeah.
that packet, yeah, just, there's no agreement or
Okay.
anything like that with it. It's a
Okay.
free service,
Okay.
you know, so we used to use a modern drop forge to get rid of all our guns and things like that, so, and we've gotten this gun busters from other agencies that have been using it for quite some time, no charge for the department, so, and they make sure everything's done through properly through ATF and
Okay.
all that kind of stuff, so, yeah.
Great. Do you have anything
And
else?
that's all I have.
Is there anything for the chief?
Would it be possible for us to get a copy of the 2018 totals, the incident count?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that we had one, but everything was lost in our emails,
Yeah.
Yep.
so that would be helpful.
You want me to just email it to you, or
Yep,
give it to you the
that's
next
fine.
meeting? Just
Either
email
way.
it? Okay.
And the other thing is, and I know that you're perfectly aware of this, but I had a constituent call me about her second catalytic converter being stolen, and I don't really know what we can do about that.
Yeah, those are tough ones.
Would your auto theft
I mean,
officer, if you get him, be involved in that as well? Would
What's that?
Would an auto theft officer be concerned with catalytic converter thefts?
No, they're more about the rings of people that are going around stealing
I see.
vehicles and
Okay.
retagging them and
Right.
rental companies. That
Yes.
I mean, we try to follow up on as many of those as we can, depending on what type of information is provided to us. You know, those are unfortunately are really,
Pretty quick, too.
Yes,
It's literally just
absolutely.
call it, and it's usually, my son had it stolen.
Is there no
Not
way?
in Blue
yeah.
Island.
Is there
But
no
it
way
was
to
a matter
secure
of
them? I mean,
seconds.
is
What's
there-
that?
is there any-
Yes,
is there-
there is
there's
a
no
way.
Is there no way to secure it? There is a way?
There is a way, but I think you have to ask, you have to bring it to like a muffler shop and
Yeah.
ask them to
Well, it would be worth
weld
letting
the
people
piece
know
on or
that, 'cause,
whatever.
you know,
It's a
something.
matter of just a battery-operated Sawzall, 2 cuts, and it's
Right.
Yeah.
And they usually go with SUVs, from what I've been told, because they sit a little higher.
It's easier,
My son's was
yeah.
up in Wicker Park, and it was
Yeah, I'm sure
probably
it's
a matter
bigger.
of seconds, just crawling underneath
Yeah.
and zip, zip, gone. So, and they're expensive to replace.
They are.
Anything else?
okay?
All
All
good?
right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Don's not here for Baima, so we're going to skip that. Any Alderman concerns or comments?
I'll just.
Oh, I'm sorry,
yeah,
I
that's
forgot
right.
to bring that up under.
Not a problem at
This
all.
meeting.
Just to let everybody know that we now do have, thank you Sergeant Sepsi for working on this, we have a speed calming town hall scheduled for March 31st here in City Hall. It will be, I think, at 6 PM, but we haven't finalized that yet. And we'll want to meet in the next couple weeks to kind of get that underway, but that's open to everybody.
Yeah, we want to make sure to get that publicized through
Yeah.
all the avenues also.
March 31.
Okay.
March 31.
Thanks, Bill. And Sergeant. Anything else, anyone? No. Motion to adjourn by Alderman Fahrenwald, second by Carr. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned at 6:50.
Super.
Cool.